All right, here we go. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Thank you so much for your patience. Technical difficulties may happen sometimes. So I am super excited about this week because it's Mental Health Awareness Week. So they have it in October as well, but also there's a week where we recognize mental health awareness in March. So it's not only Mental Health Awareness Week, but it's also Women's History Month. And so I thought, what better way to kick off the month than to have a honest hearted conversation about topics that we really don't like to talk about too often, and mental health is one of those. And so tonight I have an amazing guest who is known for being the guru of forgiveness. So as you know, one of my eight recharge pillars of self-care is forgiveness and healing. So I thought we would start with one of those pillars first. So tonight's guest is going to talk to us about forgiveness and healing. So each night this week, 8:30 to 9:30, I'm going to have we have professionals from all over the world. Like literally, Kyonna tonight is Kyonna F. Brown is our guest tonight. She's going to tell you about herself because no one can tell about themselves better than she can. So I'm going to let her introduce herself. But each night we have a mental health professional from somewhere in the world that's going to pour into us, give us some juicy nuggets and details of how we can perform self-care when it comes to mental health, because everything starts in the mind, as you know. So without your mental health, really everything else is kind of negated. It doesn't matter. You have to first have the right mental state before you can know to work on your nutrition and your body and your spirit. So tonight's discussion is going to be really juicy. If you have questions at any point, please just put them in the question and answer box, or you can put them in the chat box, and we will get to your questions at some point. As soon as we notice them, we will make sure that we get to them. So Kyonna, throughout the conversation, if you notice any, you can always just jump in and tell me, hey, there's somebody asking a question, and you can address it. So we're going to get started. We're going to start by letting our guest, Kyonna F. Brown, introduce herself. So Kyonna, without further ado, let you tell the audience who you are and what you do.
Well, good evening. First of all, I just want to thank you for allowing for me to share my story and my testimony on your platform. I believe that recharging is something that we all need to help reboot ourselves to get right back in the game. So thank you. And this is going to be an amazing week. I've already prayed for it. I know that there's going to be blessings to all the viewers who tune in. Now, about myself. There's so many things that I could go into, but tonight we're here about forgiveness, and we're here about our emotions and how those things can allow for you to really lose it. When I say lose it, I mean lose it. For me, I didn't realize that I had any mental health issues growing up. I just thought that, I was regular. I just had these feelings, these emotions, and really didn't know how to deal with them. And it wasn't until I was probably in high school where I, kind of realized that there were some things that were different that were going on. I was starting to feel down a lot. I didn't want to go out with friends a lot. And the number one thing that I realized is that I was overweight. I had been overweight the majority part of my life. But however, in my high school years is when I really started to pick up weight. And a part of that was contributed to me being different and didn't realize I was different. And all of the other girls, they were going on dates with guys, and because of my size and God knows whatever else, that wasn't happening for me. And I internalized every single thing. And that led into wanting to feel better, right? So I did what some of us do. I introduced myself into recreational drugs at an early age, smoking marijuana, drinking, hanging out, doing all of those things. And it just sort of became a buildup in my life. And I was lucky, fortunate. I graduated high school by a thread, thanks to my mom, because I was starting to do anything and everything to feel socially accepted. And so in trying to feel socially accepted, I was not going to school. I was doing all these different things. And I didn't almost graduate. It was really by the skin of my teeth that I graduated. But however, I don't know how this happened. I got accepted to Tuskegee University. And while going there, this is something, that I've always wanted. I have a pet grooming business. I love animals, and I wanted to be a veterinarian. At that point in my life, that's all I knew to do as it related to that profession. And so I was going to do that there. Well, that's not what happened. I ended up majoring in partying 101. And I got in connection with a lot of people
Not
who were
party
doing
101, not partying
partying
101.
101. And I got connected with a group of people who were doing similar things that I did when I was at home. But the greatest part that I enjoyed about being there, and anytime I was in a new surrounding, is I got to recreate myself. I got to become somebody else that I thought everybody else, what I thought they wanted me to be, not what God created me to be, not who I was uniquely created to be, but what they wanted me to be. And by doing that, I started to engage in a relationship, and things started to go a little left. Now, here I am in college, freshman year, studying and partying 101, and I have my first boyfriend. And it just didn't go the way that I wanted it to go. And I started to feel a little upset. Now, this person that I created, people started to not like her. And I started to become alienated because I was this people pleaser. I wanted to do all these things. And for some reason, the people I was around, they wanted to be around a strong individual. And that's just not who I was. And one night I found myself in the Valley. Now, if anybody's familiar with Tuskegee University, there's a part of the campus called the Valley. Now, in this Valley, it separated the boys' dorm from the girls' dorm. But for me, that night, I had taken probably about a half a bottle of Percocet. I had smoked marijuana, and I had drank as much as I could drink. And I went out, and I can remember it as if it was yesterday. It was really, really cold. I wanted everything to be over. I wanted it all to end. And I just sat there. I remember sitting there on the cold concrete in between in this valley. And, as I thought about it after time passed, a valley is a place where you're in between low and high. And that's literally where I was in my mental state. And so, unbeknownst to me, I made it back to my dorm room, and I woke up and I was angry. I was upset. I could not understand how this could not be over. I did not want to continue to endure the pain that I was going through, the pain of wanting to have to medicate all the time, the pain of people not liking me. But the biggest thing that I realized is that I didn't like myself. And so I had to realize that I had to look at myself in a different light. I had to do some different things. Now, it didn't happen, magically. It wasn't like, boom, she's healed, she's together. After that particular point, I ended up going home, not directly after that, but, after I fake finished my year of college. Because I didn't let my mom know. I'm pretty sure she knows now. It's still not even a conversation that we.
Well, she knows after this webinar, right?
That's what the world
she didn't know. Everybody knows.
The world knows, and so and I'm okay with that today. I'm okay with my truths today. I'm all right to stand in them, and that's one of the things that I had to learn through the process. But after coming home and working and getting back into a job, eventually I got into a position where I learned how to do pet care, grooming, and things like that. My mom pushed me in there. She's like, I was working at McDonald's. She said, why are you working at McDonald's? And I'm like, I don't know. So I went and got a job that day. And that started the career of pet grooming, where I learned the skill and everything. But that was cut short. Because as that was cut short, I was in a relationship with someone who was domestically abusing me mentally, not physically, mentally. And it was another direct result of me wanting to be what someone else wanted me to be instead of being who God created me to be. And in that relationship, there were some things that happened that ultimately led to me enduring a 4-year prison sentence.
Wow.
And so while in that place, I just had an epiphany today, actually, about what happened to me there. When we go in there, there are different things that happen. You have to get your blood tested. You have to get all these things done. But the first thing that they do is they strip you of every single thing. If your hair is done, I remember at one point I had cornrows in my hair. I had to take them out. Any type of clothing I had on, I had to become completely bare. And so while being in prison, not only did I have to go through that in entering it, I had to go through that while being there, because I needed to become completely bare so that Kyonna could heal. And that, believe it or not, once I got through that process, it was the freest I had been in my entire life, regardless of whether I was in chains or not. You know, I couldn't go and do as I wanted to, but here I was free. Here in my heart, I was free. And that all was a direct result of forgiveness. The first thing I had to do was realize, why am I here? How did I get here? And it was because of a relationship in my youth. I blamed everything on that person, but realizing that in a youthful mind, in a youthful stage, you don't know how to deal with certain emotions. You don't know how to communicate certain emotions. And so the reason I was there is because I did not, number one, have boundaries, right? And I had an expectation in people. There was identity issues because I didn't know truly who I was. And then in some areas, I had a sense of entitlement. And then my perception, you know, the way that people interacted with me, what they did, I would think that it should be different. And so all of those things together resulted in me being unforgiveness. Today, I have a thin line of boundaries. I know who's going to be able to cross, who's going to be able to infiltrate, who's going to be able to get me with that dart. I know that my expectations only rely in Christ. I know who I am today in my identity. I stand up in that. And I am entitled because I am a queen of the Most High. But overall, my entitlement is not selfish. And my perceptions are clear and vast because I know that everyone is going to do things a little different. And so I can't have the perception that everyone should do it the way that Kyonna wants to. So that's just a little bit,
That was a mouthful, girl. That was a lot. We got to back this thing up. Wait a minute. Look, you told us that whole life story. Wait a minute. We got to go back.
That's a teaspoon.
That's a teeny piece. We got to go back. There's too many people listening and they need to know. Okay, so I heard you were in a mentally abusive relationship.
Yes.
I heard you say you went to prison for 4 years.
Yes.
And it was the freest you ever felt.
Yes.
Those were the three biggest things that I heard that I'm like, wait a minute. we got to rewind. We got to go back. So tonight, for everybody who's just tuning in, this is Kyonna F. Brown. She is known as the guru of forgiveness, okay? So she was just giving us a little glimpse of who she is. We was given a glimpse, but that's what she said, was a glimpse. That was a lot of information. But we're gonna rewind because we need to really delve into what forgiveness is. What specifically was it that you felt like you needed to forgive? And then like we're gonna talk about some steps, like, because some people out here are stuck, they're stagnant. It's something that somebody did to them maybe 25 years ago and they're still holding on to it like it happened yesterday, and they're staying in this place of stillness and stuckness. If that's the word, right? Stuckness, where they can't move on to the next trajectory of their lives because they're still focused on what somebody else did to them. And then some of us have to forgive ourselves because we've done things we're not proud of, but we don't know how to move fast. We don't know how to fast forward past those things so that we can say, hey, that's who I was. This is not who I am today. So for those who are just tuning in, you are tuned in to series 1 of 5 of Mental Health Matters. Every day this week, we're going to have a different mental wellness professional speaking to us on different topics about mental health. And your mindset is everything. Everything starts in the mind. You can't do anything without a thought first. So we have to make sure that mentally we are awake, as our title for our link was, Mentally Awake. We have to make sure that we're having those honest conversations like Kyonna and I are talking right now, actually talking to yourself, having some self-talk, brain dumping, being honest about where you are in your forgiveness and healing processes and things that may have hurt you as a child. What have you done to heal from that? Things that you've done as an adult or things you've been through as an adult. What are you doing to heal and move forward past that? So tonight, the two of us are going to have that conversation and just talk about healing and forgiveness. So before I let Kyonna tell us about what she needed to heal, what she felt like she needed to heal from and forgive, I want to give you the definition of what it means to forgive. So to forgive means that you're going to stop feeling angry. You're going to stop feeling resentment towards someone for an offense, for a flaw, for a mistake that they caused, that they did against you. It's basically you're canceling out a debt. So that's what forgiveness is. And when you choose to forgive, you're making a conscious, deliberate decision to
Yes.
release those feelings of resentment or vengeance towards someone who has caused you harm, whether it be physical or emotional. Because, like I heard you say, Kyonna, you went through some. It wasn't a physical abuse that you went through. You went through a mental abuse. So there are different types of harm that people can cause to us. But it is up to us how long we let what hurt us haunt us. And you hear me say that all the time. Again, forgiveness and healing are two of the 8 recharge pillars of self care. And that's why I thought we should start with this one. And then because you forgive someone, it doesn't mean that you forget or that you're condoning their actions or you're even excusing those offenses. What it means is that you are no longer allowing what someone else did to you to have power over you. And so later on, I'm going to give 5 ways to begin to let go and forgive. But I want to go back over to tonight's guest, Kyonna F. Brown. Let us know, what did you feel like you needed to forgive, and what was the first step you even took to start to forgive? Because when somebody takes your freedom, that's major, right? So when your
Yes,
freedom is gone,
absolutely.
like that's huge. So like
Yeah.
walk us through that and what you felt like you needed to forgive and who needs to
Okay. So, that was really something tremendous to go through,
forgive.
especially being 21 years old. Uh, just the age where it's like, I'm free, and then, no, I'm not. You
Right.
know. But for me, it was actually sitting in this cell, and I was just crying out to God. I couldn't understand why I was there. I was taught as a child to have this faith, right? And for me, the faith was, if you pray, then He's going to do it, right? So that's that childlike faith, where
Right.
I really don't know, my personal Lord and Savior for myself. I just know what someone else told me. So here I am crying out in this cell, and I'm trying to figure out why I'm here. And why God left me. And there was a still small voice that said, "You left me." And so when I heard that, first of all, I'm like, wait a minute, it's just
Where's this
me
voice
in
coming
here,
from, right?
you know? And so, it was just going back to, like, it was like a rewind. It's like
Hmm.
I was able to press rewind on my life, leading up to that point. And it really started, my pain and everything started in my youth. When I was raised by my grandparents. I love my grandparents dearly, but there's nothing like a mother and a father. Especially if you know them, and to have them in your life is something different. My mom ultimately, she was there, but my father wasn't. There was like this in and out, in and out, in and out thing. And he had an addiction that was really strong. And that, presented different things in my childhood. There were times where there were some things there in my house. Then all of a sudden they were gone. So it was just like this take relationship, right? I didn't really feel a give. I didn't really feel the love. I didn't really feel a close connection. It was always a take. And just imagine always taking something from a child. That child becomes selfish. And in becoming selfish, I wanted people to attract to me the way that I wanted my father to.
Mm.
But thank God we have a different relationship today. He is a healer. He's a mender of all things. And so we're working that thing out. But in that process, I realized that I had to forgive myself first,
Mm.
because all of the things that I continuously blamed him for were not his fault, especially when I was the one who committed that action.
Mm.
It's one thing for us in our lives to have something done to us, or to be treated a certain way, but it's another thing when we react. I had to realize and understand that I am the controller of my reactions. I can only react the way I want to react.
Yeah.
And so, in that position, and today, still standing firm in that, I learned that I cannot allow for somebody to take control over me. You're having control over my emotions. You're having control over my will. And that is something that I've learned today to not do. But then after I forgave myself, I had to then look at the relationship with my dad. And in that relationship, I realized that uh, the person was not my father.
Mm.
What do I mean by that? That person was my father that had an addiction.
Right.
So I was interacting with an addiction and not who my father was. And
Right.
so that's when the releasing of him came, because there were moments that, hey, I do remember, we went on bike rides. Hey, I do remember, he taught me how to make homemade pizza. And,
Mhm.
I do remember those things, but then I also remember the other things. And I had to learn to distinguish the two. Right. And so realizing that the one that hurt me was not the one that was my father, it was the addiction dad.
Mm.
So I had to learn and realize that, and so that's what that journey was like. It was like an awakening. It was me being able to look at things in a different lens, because remember, I had become addicted. I
Right.
was using ecstasy, marijuana, drinking, PCP. I'm just about everything besides your real hardcore things. I didn't do crack or heroin, but I did do other things. And so
Mhm.
in that process, I didn't have a clear mind of thinking,
Mm.
and so really it was like the blinders were taken off. And that's when I got back to my passion of writing.
Mm.
In ninth grade, I was in a creative writing club, and it was like, oh, okay, so this is what you do. I got back into those things, but that space it was really a sanctuary for me, because like it was uninterrupted besides time for lockdown, uninterrupted besides time to eat and
Mm.
things of that nature. I had a lot of time to be with Kyonna.
Yes, yes. And that brings us into 4 steps to forgiveness. So you talked about uncovering your anger. So you had to be honest with yourself. What was I angry about? Talk about it. Be honest. Say, look, I'm mad with somebody else, but I'm also mad with myself because I let myself get in this situation. So
Yeah.
that's like the first step to forgiveness. You have to uncover what are you angry about. Some people you're mad, you don't even know what you're mad about. You just walking around angry man, angry woman, and
Yeah.
you're not even really digging deep to say what is it that I'm upset about? What is it that I need to fix so that I can get over this? That's the first step, is uncovering your anger. The second step is making that conscientious decision to forgive, because it's a choice. We can
Yes.
choose to stay stuck, like we said. We can choose to keep recalling that negative occurrence over and over and over again, or we can decide that, you know what, I'm going to forgive so I can begin my healing process and move on
Yeah.
in my life. The third step for step to forgiveness is to work on forgiving. So it's going to
Yeah.
take some action on your part. It's not going to just happen. Oh, I'm going to forgive and it's going to be over. No, it's not going to be that. You have to look at all the circumstances, like you just mentioned. You weren't dealing with the dad you knew. You were dealing with a dad that was suffering with addiction. So a lot of times when we're angry with somebody, we're not looking at the entire circumstances of how did it get to that point where they hurt me? What were they going
Yeah.
through at that moment? Or if you're dealing with something yourself, how did it get to the point where I allowed myself to do certain steps that now I'm not proud of? And then you end up, when you think about the whole situation, you end up reframing that hurt.
Mm-hmm.
So once you reframe it, you see things differently. It's
Yeah.
almost like that camera lens. When you start reframing and refocusing it, you see the picture differently. So when you see
Yeah.
things differently, then that takes you to the next step, which is releasing yourself from that emotional prison. Because that's what it is when you're holding on to something and you're stuck. You're like putting yourself in an emotional prison. And
Yes.
so, some things I understand are really deep and people need, extra support or support group or counseling because it's so deep and the hurt is so deep that you need
Mm-hmm.
somebody else to help work through that. That's fine. That's okay. But just remember, again, It's up to you how long you let what hurt you haunt you. So as
Yeah.
long as you are taking steps to work on that forgiveness, then you can grow. Because that forgiveness is not for you. If
Yeah.
somebody else did something to you, it's not for that other
It's not
person.
for
It's
them.
for you. Yeah, it's not for
Mhm.
them. It's for you. I said that backwards. But it's not for
I want
them.
to
It's for
add
you.
something.
Yeah, go right ahead.
I want to add something. So I use a 3-prong tool. And everything that you said is incorporated in it. It's
Okay.
reveal, release, and regain your confidence. And so I want to add the confidence piece in there, because when you've been broken,
Mm-hmm.
there has to be a rebuilding for you to actually initiate interactions with other people, to engage in different relationships, right? So look at a person who has been verbally or domestically abused. So
Mm-hmm.
now they're going out in the world after they say, okay, I'm going to release this thing. I'm going to heal from it. I'm going to get over it. But I'm not sure if I want this to happen again. So I'm going to guard myself.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So you have
Mm-hmm.
to rebuild that confidence in order to step back out into society and actually order to live your life.
Mm-hmm.
Because when you do that, to me, I think that you're still stuck in the trap, right? You can
Yeah.
have forgiven, you can have released, you can even be in an environment with those people. But if you're not allowing for yourself to walk in the freedom to engage in those interactions again, you are not totally healed.
Right.
And one thing that you said, I wanted to piggyback on it, is about forgiving. It's, you can forgive, but you don't have to forget. I think that forgiving is remembering without the pain, right?
Mm.
Being able to
Yeah.
remember it and it doesn't pierce you. And that's
Right.
literally for me how I know that I've healed from something, that I've
Mm-hmm.
truly forgiven, because
Mm-hmm.
I can think about a situation and I don't get that twinge in my heart anymore.
Right.
I don't
Right.
get that grumbling in my stomach anymore. Like,
And you
you
don't
know,
recall it as often either. Like
yeah, yeah.
it may come to mind here or there because it really hurt you, but you find it
It's
less
not
and
a
less. You
conscious
start
thought.
to think about it less and less. And then when you are truly healing, then you start getting back to yourself and who you
Hmm.
truly are. And that's
Yep.
what I liked about what you said. You said I had 4 years to get back to Kyonna and who she really was. And that's the truth.
Yeah.
That is how you heal. Sometimes you have to quiet the noise around you so that you can get back to yourself, perform the self-care to do the
Hmm.
forgiveness and the healing. And
And so
you
what
had
does
another
that
point you
look
were
like? What does that look like for someone who's not taken away from society? That
right.
looks like planning. That looks like making yourself a priority.
Mhm.
That looks like being able to say no.
Mhm.
That looks like I love me enough today that I'm not going to deal with that because I have to take care of me. I am going to go to the spa. I am going to, on my lunch break after I've eaten my meal, I'm going to sit there for like 10 minutes and just have a thinking session. I'm going to sit
Mhm.
there and just meditate and listen to some music. I am going to journal. There are
I'm
many
just gonna be
steps.
still and not do anything.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna have that moment of stillness where I block out everything. I'm gonna brain dump. I'm
Mhm.
gonna put my cell phone down, put all my gadgets down, and I'm just gonna be in the moment. And
Amen.
that doesn't cost a thing. So sometimes we think that self-care means or guarding your mental state means that you have to spend money. No, you don't have to spend money. Sometimes just that quiet walk along in the park or go sit by some water just to have a moment of stillness, that has huge impact on your brain. And I know like some of the ways that I was looking, like it's a commitment. If you're going to really let something go and forgive and heal, you have to be committed to that thing, because when it comes up, you have to know how to shift that thought process to say, no, 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 we're not going there today. Today,
Not
we're not having
today.
that. Not today. That's we're leaving that back there. You have to commit to that. Then you have to realize, the pain that you're causing yourself by holding yourself stuck in that hurt. So it hurts you more because when you don't forgive and when you are holding on to hurt, it produces all kind of chemical releases in our
Yeah.
bodies that are unhealthy for us. And then you start to have illnesses. It affects your skin. What's going on the inside starts exhibiting itself on the outside.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and we tell everybody, "Oh, I'm not stressed." Oh, why you got that big old zit up on your face? You like
That
we
looks
don't
like
realize.
stress, honey.
Yes, like we don't realize some of the things that's going on in our bodies, even
Mhm.
ourselves. We know when we're stressed to the max, but sometimes when
Yeah.
those little little doses of stress is put into our life, your body tells you when you're feeling it because it starts to exhibit on the outside. So it's major. We have to recognize that you have a choice and then empathize because, we all have to get forgiveness at some point or another. Some of
Mm-hmm.
us have to get forgiveness from us on a smaller scale than others, but all of us at some time have erred against somebody else. And we're going
Yeah.
to want that same empathy when it comes to us getting, getting forgiveness from somebody else. And then
Mm-hmm.
focus on the present. Focus on what you have ahead of you and not keep focusing on what has happened in the past. And
Yeah.
again, some things are just, some hurt is just so deep that you're going to need some help from somebody else. You may need a counselor, you may need a support group, and that's okay. But that's
Yeah.
what we mean when we're saying get back to you. Whatever it takes to make you whole, mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, do the self care, do the self work.
Yes. Yes. I totally agree. I
Yes.
totally agree. When you were saying that people, if they keep going through the situation and they're in unforgiveness, I like to think of that as the trap.
Mhm.
And we continue, if we're not forgiving, we're continuously placing ourselves in a trap, which is a toxic mindset, rejection, anger,
Mhm.
and pain. And
Yes.
so the longer we stay in that trap, the longer we will not be able to embrace our truths.
Mhm.
And I'm a firm believer in the word. And, we go and seek forgiveness.
Mhm.
We have to remember that in order for us to seek it, we have to give it. We can't just be a recipient of it. In Matthew 6:14, it says, "For if you forgive other people when they sin against you, your heavenly Father will also forgive you."
Mhm.
And a lot and I don't know if this is everyone's belief, but it's my belief. The word says that if you don't forgive, then God won't forgive you. But then I also look at the fact that if I am forgiving, then God will forgive me. But also, here's another thought that I have sometimes, that when I've done like the worst thing ever, I know that if I sincerely go to God and ask for forgiveness, He would do that. But how is it that I can't forgive you for what you stepped on my toe? And
Right.
so now
25 years ago.
I'm holding on to this, but
Right.
there's the source of all beings,
Yes.
who's willing to forgive when someone, murders, when, all of these
Mhm.
things. And so just to think about, the weight of what we're choosing to carry with us, is
Mhm.
it really, that much? We can give those burdens away. You here, take them back. Let me
Yes.
take it back. So I just really like to think about that. And then also, as you were talking about the person, when they go through whatever they're sharing with you, they may hurt you. I like to look a layer deep as well. I like to look at, well, wow, you're behaving this way, you're acting this way, you're talking to me like this. What happened to you? And so
Mm.
it no longer
Right.
becomes about
About
me
you.
or my
Yes.
feelings or my emotions.
Right.
It's like, it's something a little bit more deeper than
There's a little
than
healing
what
you
you're
need to do.
sharing. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
my mind goes there. And so
Yeah.
now, since it goes there, and when something happens to me, it's like, ooh, I get excited about healing. It was like, all
Right.
right, God, how you gonna help me heal through this one? Because I already
Mhm.
know I'm going to defeat whatever it is that comes my way.
Mhm.
So that's another thing that I really love about forgiveness, is now that I get excited to forgive,
Right.
because I'm excited to see everything unfold, because
Mhm.
I know that there is going to be a greater end if I am putting forth the effort.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Wow, this is a really, really good discussion. I don't want to stay with where you were. Let's talk about where you are now because you are doing some amazing things. And that was one of the
Yes.
reasons that I reached out to you. Other than you spending time with those cute puppies, and I'm so jealous, and you're giving me puppy fever because I see your pictures. I'm like, no, don't do it. Kyonna is setting you up. Talk about where you are today because you are a phenomenal lady and we
Amen.
never look like what we've been
Amen.
through.
So
And yeah.
where I am today, it is such an amazing space, right? So I am literally in the season of bringing things to an end so I can have a beautiful new beginning,
Yeah.
right? And that's another thing that keeps people in unforgiveness and hurt, is because they want to hold on to things that they should have released a long time ago. And for me, this season, looks like I have a show called Forgiveness Friday, and I'm excited that it is ending. That is ending literally the 27th of March. So it will be the last talk show that I will be sharing. But however, God has placed in me the passion for film. And so I've been in classes, and so we're moving Forgiveness Friday into a Forgiveness Friday film. It's going to be a short film that we share on social media. There's a list of topics, real life situations that will be able to be acted out, role played and everything. So you can really see yourself in that situation and see the different faces of unforgiveness.
Oh,
And
I
so
love
I'm excited about that. So that's the ending that's bringing about a beautiful new beginning. This July, I am having the Interchange 2020. It's mind, body, and soul. It is an event where we are bringing the arts with motivation, coupled with inspiration. And why is that so important to me? As I shared with you, I was writing in ninth grade. I've been a lot of different things. Played the piano at the age of 6 years old up until I still play a little bit. Clarinet in the marching band. Part of the band, you have to have dance choreography. And so I remember that the thing that moved me and that had muscle memory, where I remember good times where movement was involved. And so that's what we're bringing to this environment. We're bringing dance, we're bringing movement, we're bringing music, we're bringing spoken word, all of this in a place of healing, so that when you get into that dark moment of hurting and unforgiveness and you're stuck, go back to a song, go back to whatever it is that you remember, so that your body can move. We are, like you said, our minds are our greatest tools. Your mind can make or break you.
Yeah.
And if you are able to put yourself in a mindset where you're able to move from whatever your present situation is, that is the first step to getting to a healing space. So I'm excited for that event. And then I have an event that's going on simultaneously almost with yours, but your event, I believe, starts a little later than mine's, and that is called the Confidence Mastery, the 3-day Confidence Mastery. That's coming up this week. So I have registrants already for that, and I'm excited because that's one of the things that we need to heal. We need that confidence to get back out there in order to heal. So that's some of the things. I'm working on my 6th book right now. So yeah, I'm excited about that. That's going to be a 90-day devotional because I want to walk through each day with you. I did that live for 90 days, and there was so much that transpired just by really talking about it, doing an emotional check-in, right? You have a positive emotion a day, you got a negative emotion a day, but which one are you going to let win? And so being able to walk through that process with women and men alike is going to be an amazing journey once that book drops. So I'm excited about that. Those are the things I have going on.
Amazing. Let's give her a hand clap, y'all. Like, amazing, amazing. I am super proud of you, the transformation you've made in your life. It is so important. I know when I was going through my journey and I had to forgive and heal, journaling was my thing. I wrote my pain away. I wrote angry poems. I wrote happy poems. Whatever emotion I was feeling that day, girl, it was either typed out. I was typing like this. You know that cat emoji that they have, the cat and the cat doing like this, and the cat.
Yes.
That was me. I was literally like typing away or writing my pain away, and eventually 6 years later, it became a #1 bestseller, selling international book, The Crash That Altered My Life. But it told me 2 things. It told me, number one, I was not alone in my journey, that other women, other people were going through things and needed some hope. And then number 2 was that there's triumph after you've been through something tragic in your life, something that really hurt you. You can move past it, but you have to make that conscientious decision that I'm not gonna stay stuck. I'm not gonna let what happened to me keep me like I have cement on my feet. I'm gonna keep it moving. So you have to make that conscientious decision to work on you and work past whatever you've been through. Tell everybody, if anybody has questions that's on the live webinar through Zoom, can you please, if you have any questions, just feel free to type them in the question and answer box or in the chat. And Diane is on here and she's giving you claps over here. She has clap, and she can't wait for your events like I can't wait for your events coming up. There's definitely the need for it in our communities. We don't talk about mental health enough. I think that it's something like, people, you'd be surprised how many people need medication
Mm-hmm.
just to get through a day-to-day activity, whether it be through depression, whether it be anxiety. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that we need to talk about it more so we take the
Yes.
stigma away from it that says that, oh, something's wrong with you because you need something to help you mentally. That's why I give kudos to anybody who recognizes the need that I need something else to make me feel whole, whatever it is we need to do, whether it's taking a pill, get therapy, journal, whatever it is, get in a support group, talk to people like yourself and I who understand. We've had tragic events in our lives, but we've worked through it. So surround yourself with people who are healers and who have
Yeah.
healed from something tragic in their life. So I definitely appreciate you tonight spending time with us to talk about this. Tell everybody how they can stay in contact with you and they can keep up with all these events that you have going on.
Sure, awesome. So you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Forgiveness Expert. Again, that's Facebook and Instagram at The Forgiveness Expert. And if you want to check out a little bit more, you can go to www.kyonnafbrown.com. And the spelling of that is KYONNAFbrown.com.
And you can leave our listeners with one final word about forgiveness and healing to kick off this week for mental health awareness.
All right. So I guess the one thing that I would say is let the resounding truth of forgiveness activate a new season of change in your life as you walk from your past into your destiny. I think that's a great thing to hold with you, that forgiveness has a loud sound. It has a true sound. And so just being in a space where you can learn to activate that so you can tap into your new season. And hey, leave what's behind you because there's greater that is waiting ahead of you.
Yes, thank you. I love it. I love it. And you do walk differently. You look different when you have truly healed. It's like you
Yeah.
get a bright light inside of you. And people are like, you glowing. And they don't know you've been doing some self-work, right? But
Yeah.
you're glowing and you walk differently. And you don't let little mundane things that's not gonna happen 5 years down the line. You don't even waste 5 minutes on it because you understand, look, I've healed from greater junk than this. I'm not letting this keep me stuck for 5 minutes. I'm not even wasting 5 minutes. It's not gonna matter 5 years down the line. So why would I
Yeah.
waste the little bit of time we're promised on this earth to even worry about stuff like that? So thank you so much for being a guest tonight. Truly, truly powerful. Thank you for sharing your truth. Thank you for sharing your story. Because as Cheryl Wood, my twin power, always says, your story is about you, but it ain't for you.
Yeah.
It's for someone else to understand that, hey, I can get past anything that I'm going through in life. So I want everybody to tune in again tomorrow, 8:30 p.m. We're going to have another series. Series 2 is tomorrow. And tomorrow we're going to be actually talking about managing mental illnesses. So we're going to be talking about bipolar, schizophrenia, anxiety. We're going to be talking about all of that, medications. So I have two mental health experts. One is Dr. Tiffany Zachary. She's all the way from Louisiana. So we have people from all over the world coming to chime in and really give us juicy nuggets like Kyonna did tonight, because this is a global problem, mental illness. So it's not something that's just in our zip code, it's all over the entire world. So we have professionals from all over the globe, from New Mexico, Atlanta, Louisiana, that are going to be chiming in, Maryland, DC, that's going to be, talking with us throughout this week about mental health. So I got professionals from all over that know their stuff. Some are actually even dealing with mental illness themselves. So they're going to be talking about a place, they're going to be talking from a place of where they are and how they are managing their own mental illness while they're helping others. So again, we're going to have Dr. Tiffany Zachary and Ashley Smith tomorrow. She's from Atlanta, Georgia. So make sure you tune in tomorrow. And let me tell you what the link is. I'll post the link for tomorrow as well. So we have a different link for each night so that you are aware of what each session is about. So tomorrow's session is going to be entitled Mentally Managed. So the link for tomorrow's session at 8:30 p.m., and it will be live streamed on Facebook as well, is bit.ly/mentally managed. Make sure you capitalize the two M's. So bit.ly/mentally managed. And I'll post it on social media. Again, Dr. Tiffany Zachary, and then we also have Ashley Smith. So they're going to be talking about mental illness and how you can manage it. So thank you everybody for tuning in. Thank you, Diane. Diane said it was a good night, great show. Thank you so much. We appreciate you tuning in. Please tune in tomorrow. Again, thank you, Kyonna F. Brown. Look her up, support her events. There's enough for all of us to share what we have. So I will be supporting your events as well. And thank you, everybody. Good night. And don't forget to recharge your internal batteries, mind, body, and spirit.